This one's pretty boring, honestly. Hey guys, this is Jules with True Crime Reactions. Disclaimer. Everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. Okay, so now we're going to go through the pin trap trace device warrant. Now, unlike the other warrants, there's really nothing for us to go over beforehand because we've gone over all of the cell phone information already. We've pulled up the AT&T warrants, we've gone over the Google searches, we've gone over the cell phone data itself, we've gone over the Apple information, and it basically is all the exact same information. They're just arguing it at a different standpoint from a different thing that came from those exact same warrants. Now, just like in the rest of them, they are copying and pasting a lot of the arguments of the constitutional law that they're arguing, the cases that they're citing. It's literally all the exact same thing. And I've made a comment several times that I find it interesting that they are arguing the validity of these search warrants with their sub argument being that they were copy and pasted from one warrant, so that basically Payne is lying in his warrants because everything is based off of his experience. But whenever you actually find out what's going on here, he's copying and pasting Blaker's experience onto his probable cause warrant, and it's all a lie because he's not putting any of his own information in there, which we pretty much realized that whenever he testified already, even though we're not even at trial yet, that he's pretty much just an idiot. It sounds like we've been right all along, that the feds are the ones who really were the ones investigating this case, and Moscow is now just kind of like the middleman. They're going in and sort of like cleaning up the mess because the FBI fricked this all up. Now, we do need to remember that the base fight for everything is that Bryan Kohberger's team is claiming that his DNA was obtained illegally. Now, if they can prove that, then that is valid fruit of the poisonous tree, and they're correct. Everything that has been received warrant-wise or any other way after that genealogy was done is null and void, including his buccal swab match. And again, it's been an interesting fight to see because the state has mentioned that the genealogy wasn't going to be used this entire time, that they were going to be filing a motion to exclude it themselves. But then here on this channel, we talked about the genealogy being a big issue because it was mentioned in Dawn Daniels' warrant to search Bryan Kohberger's apartment. She's not even part of the agency that's supposed to be leading the investigation. She's a WSU campus police officer, and she's sitting there telling her magistrate court that needs to now sign off on the warrant that she wrote based off of what she got also from Blaker's statement and speaking to a couple other people. She's asking for them to, hey, I know I told you that this thing matched or whatever, but we can't talk about that. We got to pretend like you just don't know whenever you sign this, okay? So we knew for a while this was going to be a big, big problem. But now we have the defense team wanting to exclude it instead of the state filing their motion to exclude it based on the fact that they believe that his DNA was obtained illegally. And if they prove that, cool. But that doesn't solve this case, does it? It doesn't prove his innocence or his guilt. That's my issue with this fight, is that it's still not going to answer the big actual question. Now, like I said, most of this is copy and pasted, so we're only going to go over the facts that they've placed in here, and there's no new information, at least nothing that I have seen, when it comes to anything else that's written in here. Everything except for the fact that it's for his AT&T accounts is the same in every single argument. This is where we start. On December 23rd of 2023, Corporal Payne of the Moscow Police Department requested a warrant to search the contents of Mr. Kohberger's AT&T account for information regarding his phone's whereabouts between November 12th, 2022 and November 14th of 2022, as well as messages and phone calls during that period. However, the affidavit and warrant went beyond that range. After the warrant was granted, law enforcement received information from AT&T. This new information is included in the affidavit for a new warrant sought for both account information as well as a pin trap for Mr. Kohberger's phone. The exhibit/affidavit was like the previous warrant, signed by Corporal Payne. The basic fact Corporal Payne used to support the search were essentially the same, but with the following added, which is the exact same thing that they're doing. They're copying and pasting their same arguments over and over again. It's just ironic. Okay. Cell tower records did not show Mr. Kohberger was in Moscow at the time of the murders. In law enforcement's experience, however, people committing crimes typically turn off their phones. Now, what we've seen from correspondents and people even here on YouTube is that whenever you go the direction that they are wanting us to believe and know that Bryan actually went that night, your cell phone loses service. Like pretty much the whole way you don't have any service. So your phone is doing nothing but trying to like bounce off of every single tower and try to catch a signal from anything that it can. And if it has no service, it's bouncing all over the place. And one of the things that we did learn is that you could be going forward, but because of high traffic, because of the service available, you might actually connect to a tower way, 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 way behind you, even though you're going the opposite direction. So these things are really just not, they're not valid. And they can have between a 10 and 20 mile radius. So technically speaking, the distance between Bryan Kohberger's apartment and King Road, depending on what the hell was going on up in all this that goes on and runs through our bodies on a daily freaking basis, there's no telling how many times he's actually pinged on towers that service King Road just being at his own college campus. Seriously. Not just that, but we do have to remember that Cy got on the stand and stated that everything in this area that he has seen so far is exculpatory to Bryan, proving that he was not in the area whatsoever at the time that the crimes happened. But she's putting an emphasis on law enforcement's experience because, like we've mentioned, Payne is literally taking Blaker's statements for what his experience is telling him for his arrest warrant and putting it in his. No change-ups, at least not to those parts. There's a few, but not to the parts that's important here. 2. The new information received from the previous warrant, according to FBI special agents that specialize in the analysis of historical CSLI or cell site location information, showed that on November 13th of 2022 at approximately 2:42 a.m., Mr. Kohberger's phone was utilizing cellular resources that provide coverage to his apartment in Pullman, Washington. They support the idea that he left his apartment and went south. They supported the phone being off. They support at 4:48 a.m. the phone is south of Moscow, Idaho, near Blaine, Idaho. The phone utilizes resources that make their way to Pullman, coinciding with a white Elantra seen on some surveillance there. A similar data showing occurs at approximately 9 a.m. with a trip to Moscow and returning at around 9:32 a.m. We've talked about that trip specifically on this channel so much, so much, even again here since we've talked about these documents. Now, whenever the PCA first dropped, we went and took everything that they said and we broke everything down and we did videos on everything, trying to piece everything together and see exactly what he had done. But in doing that, that's where all the questioning came from, because none of it was adding up. None of it was piecing together. The PCA itself was literally torn apart and proven useless within like a week here on social media. Instantly, there was an uproar of what in the hell is this? And we are still there. We are still very much at what the hell is this? Now, we do have some additional information, but that additional information is all coming from the defense. They've been dropping stuff pretty much every single chance they've gotten. Now, what they've done in these is interesting because now we have proof of multiple phone numbers, multiple devices, multiple email addresses, which is all cool and great, but they're still standing up in court and claiming no connection, no explanation for the lack of evidence. With all of this additional stuff that they've been searching for Bryan that we didn't know about until recently, they can still stand up in court and claim these things. That's important. But that's also it for the details that are important to the case. Everything else is just repetitive when it comes to this document. It is literally 17 pages of repetitive. There's like 3 or 4 little sprinklings, and it's usually just based on policy conclusion. To conclude, the warrant issued for Mr. Kohberger's AT&T account was unconstitutionally overbroad. Law enforcement had the ability to be more specific, but see, that's another thing. I don't know what she would want it to say, because it does state it's looking for information that could be related to the homicide at King Road. So I don't know what exactly she would have wanted it to state that was more specific? And I'm not trying to be like a smartass. I'm asking a real question. Like, would she have wanted it to say conversations between Bryan Kohberger and Kaylee Goncalves and or Maddie Mogen and or Xana Kernodle and or Ethan Chapin and or Dylan Mortensen and or Bethany Funk and or anyone else connected to? I mean, like, is that the kind of specifics that she's asking for? Because they, at that point, like, they just know there's a homicide. They know that they've been handed this guy's name and they're trying to figure out what they can find that has anything to do with this, because that's basically what it sounds like. The feds just was like, here you go. It didn't do like anything else. And we've been fighting to get information from them. Well, not us. I mean, us, but not us. The state has been fighting to get information from the feds who actually did this investigation this entire time. And I'll repeat, like I've repeated in like all the videos of these so far, the feds took this to a grand jury, a federal grand jury, and it failed. Then they took the case to Moscow and put it in front of a state grand jury. And according to Jay Logsdon, at least 6 of those grand jurors wanted more information because it didn't fit together for them. And they were told that was it. That's all we got. And that happened in like May, after he'd already been in jail for like 5 months and they had dug up all kinds of stuff. And then what happens after that? We got warrants with August dates. They don't know what they're doing. And that's not good. That's not good for, regardless if Bryan Kohberger is innocent or guilty. That's not good. But that's really it for this document. Let me know what you guys think so far. And let me know if you feel like there's any weight to any of these sub-arguments. I want to know exactly what they know when it comes to if Bryan Kohberger's DNA was truly obtained illegally. I want to know. It sucks. That's so bad that it's all going to be sealed. But when it comes to these little bitty arguments, there's only been a couple that I've been damn about. You know what I mean? Like all the rest of it's kind of like, I don't really care too much about this because, again, whenever you're in jail and you're a suspect for things like this, your right to privacy changes once you become property of the state. Okay, we all know that. It all gets taken away by a signature of a judge. And now so to me, this only matters in a civil suit if he is found innocent. Right? Like they violated all of these things for literally no reason because he didn't do a damn thing. And now we've 2.5 years, 3 years later proven it. Is where these things to me would come in. But whenever somebody is found guilty, none of this stuff matters. None of this matters whatsoever. The DNA being obtained illegally would be the only thing that can change a guilty person's future. I don't understand how we went from, oh, they couldn't find anything, to, oh, now we have a single source male DNA, to, oh, we sent it off to Othram, to, oh, all of a sudden the feds came in and told Othram to stop everything they were doing. And now, oh, all of a sudden, here you go. Now figure out how we got there. This can't be written any worse. But again, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. The next one that we'll be going over is that person in Idaho one. I'm sure most of you guys have already gone over that. These documents have been out for well over a week now, but I'm just doing things at my own pace because, you know, life. But I want to know what you guys think so far down in the comments. And if you like the way that I present this information and give my opinion, please don't forget to leave a like on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you were not subscribed already. And please don't forget to make sure that that notification bell is set to all so you don't miss any of my rants, reviews, reactions, updates, or deep dives. See y'all.